Welcome to the Hope for Parents with Struggling Teens podcast. I'm Brandon Jaffe. Join us as we explore relationship and mental health issues by weeding out the trends in the mental health industry to uncover what truly works in improving our emotional well-being and relationships. At Inspired Resolutions Counseling, we specialize in providing interventions and resources for families with teens, focusing on topics such as teen mental health, parenting challenges, and family dynamics. Because of Father's Day, I want to kind of reflect on what it means to show up, lead, and love as a dad, even when things feel messy, imperfect, or overwhelming. This episode is for fathers, of course, but it's also for mothers and co-parents and kids and anyone walking through the messy challenge of parenting. And the role of a father, it impacts everybody in the family system when the family is together, and it impacts everything in the children's lives when there's a split home. And, in some ways, the father's choices just often have such gravity in the upbringing of the children. I want to bring some encouragement, some hard truths, and I want to just kind of cover that I believe that healing and connection are possible no matter how far things have gone wrong. Being a dad is framed through this kind of lens of protection and provision, right? We protect, we provide, and that's an important piece to being a father. And there's something that's more new and common today, and that's the expectation that fathers are emotionally present. Not that fathers are perfect, we're not always confident, but it's important that we're present. And I take a look at my own life and other fathers' lives that I know, my friends, my clients, and I think about the fact that sometimes our lives are a mess, and it might be our fault or it might be somebody else's fault, but we are not always okay in the world, but we have this pressure that I actually think is good. Right now, we live in a world where you're supposed to let your emotions and problems drive everything. But while we don't have to be perfect, we don't have to be okay, we must be present as fathers no matter what. And I've worked with thousands of teens and families and people, and I can tell you this. No child needs a dad that has all the answers, but every child needs a dad who is present enough to say, I'm still learning, I messed up, or I'm here, I love you, and I don't know. I think I don't know, I'm not sure could be one of the most profound things a father who is successful says. If you are a father listening today who feels like you've failed your kids, and I have failed my child many times, or that you've lost influence over your older child, or you don't know how to fix that relationship, I offer you this. Repair is more powerful than perfection. You must take steps towards whatever that repair might be, even if it's not all your fault. You can't go back and rewrite the past. But you do have to be courageous enough to show up, be humble, be consistent, be willing to listen, and willing to wait. I think that as parents, we constantly want to do, especially if you're the protective type of father. And sometimes the way to be most present is just to be silent and to be patient. A lot of times you'll hear me in other podcasts, I talk about the parenting hierarchy all the time. God, self, marriage, then parenting, and then everyone else. Fathers are especially wired to carry stress and silently put everyone first, even if we resent it and don't act that way. This can be uncomfortable, but here's the truth. A father cannot just work themselves to death providing and protecting. You cannot lose your sense of self, and you must lead with clarity, which means self-care. You cannot be a father who is a martyr. It's really, the word that comes to mind is stewardship. When you tend to your identity, tend to your marriage, tend to your own mental health. You're coming as a parent from overflow rather than depletion. You're going to be more able to speak with that authority that isn't coming from resentment or fear. You're speaking from an authority that's more grounded and influential. And so during this Father's Day or afterwards, this message might seem a little upside down, but sometimes being in leadership does not mean that you're the strongest man, the most smart man, or the one that doesn't make any mistakes. Sometimes it means being the first to apologize, being the one to constantly take accountability, and the one to say, hey, I didn't get it right this time. I'm committed to growing. I'm committed to doing better in the future. Man, it'd be wild if parents would openly take that stance, especially fathers, openly take that stance in crisis, in conflict with their children. There can't be a pressure to be perfect and hold it all together, but your kids, especially your teens, don't need you to be a stoic, so-called strong version of you. They need all of you. They need to see you model how you rise from making mistakes, how you regulate yourself when you feel dysregulated. They need to see you owning things, acknowledging feelings. They need to see you taking responsibility. They need to hear you say things like, I'm frustrated, but I'm not going to yell. They need to hear that you had a horrible day, you're in a horrible place, but you are still going to be present. They need to hear I love you over and over and over again. And we need to show them that in our worst spot, when things seem hopeless, we can still hold their anger, hold their sadness, hold their fears, because we've been taking care of ours. It's not we put them first. We've been putting ourselves in a healthy hierarchy. Therefore, we are prepared to hold them during difficult times. So to me, that's a part of the leadership of fatherhood. And it's about being honest, emotional, and present, but it's also holding to your morals and values that you teach and preach. And when you don't, owning it rather than pretending like you're a perfect version that they're not actually experiencing. I can't tell you how many times really the healing piece for a child who experienced something bad from their parent was that the parent took responsibility, that the parent seemed to be making an effort to change. To the dads out there who are navigating teenage rebellion, maybe addiction, mental health struggles, blended family conflict, or just emotional silence of a kid who is completely shut down and turned against you, I want to say this: you are not powerless, you are not disqualified, you are not alone, you are not forgotten. For some people, Father's Day is a painful time full of tension. For some, it's a reminder that the marriage is on the rocks, or that there is no marriage, or that the co-parenting is really difficult. But do not leave. Your presence matters. I can't say that enough. Your presence matters, as imperfect as it might be. Your desire to do better does matter. And you deserve to be praised, held for your successes. I'm going to say this: you have more influence than you think, but less control than you want. And the thing is, you have more influence in the long run, but less control sometimes while you're being present in the moment. Sometimes being present in the moment is just letting it all fall apart. If you focus on control, you're probably going to lose a lot of connection. If you focus on influence and you listen and you're empathetic and you still set those boundaries, you're probably going to see some transformation in the long run. I can't remember, I either heard or read or something. I remember somebody referring to fatherhood as a battlefield. And it is not a battlefield. Okay, you're not a soldier as a father. You don't have to dominate. You don't have to fight. You don't, in this day and age, often you don't have to. It's not like we're every day needing to protect. Okay, we need to be ready to protect. But it's important in this day and age that we create an emotional climate that is safe to make mistakes, safe to show feelings, safe to push back, and knowing that while you're not going to become a doormat, you'll walk with them instead of against them. And when you mess up, which we all do, you're not going to hide it. You're not going to shrink from it. You're going to lead your family through the repair. There's a lot of moments in fatherhood where the deeper successes come from modeling humility, come from this strength that doesn't have to do with being aggressive. Look, I want us all to be fathers who either change bad legacies or improve good legacies. So this Father's Day, I want you to ask a few simple but powerful questions. What kind of father do I want to be remembered as? Where have I let fear or fatigue distort my voice as a parent? What would it look like to lead with love and not just authority? Look, it's never too late to become the father that you want to be, to become the man that you want to be. But it does take, again, a humbleness and a humility. And your journey isn't over. And for those of you who feel really good, you're in a place where, man, you're connected with your kids and you feel like you are leading and you are in line with your morals and values. That is so special. And your children are so lucky. I want to acknowledge and say kudos to all the fathers out there, the ones who are struggling, the ones who are getting it right, and the ones who desperately want to do better. Father's Day is an acknowledgement of this role in life that is unlike any other, but often gets confused with many roles. It gets confused with being a CEO. It gets confused with being the team captain. And it borrows from a lot of leadership roles. However, it is like no other role out there. So I wish you all a happy Father's Day. And I truly hope that you are celebrating this year, all the successes. But if you're not, I pray and I hope that you're able to put one foot in front of the other starting today.
The Hope for Parents with Struggling Teens podcast is an Inspired Resolutions production, hosted by Brandon Jaffe, edited and mixed by Natalie Atkinson, music by Natalie and Sean Atkinson. Inspired Resolutions Counseling is based in Yorba Linda, California. Whether you're interested in joining our group, seeking therapy services, or exploring more of our resources, you can find us on our website, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at Inspired Resolutions Counseling.